Cari miei. So this is our second lesson, and this is going to be split up into three different parts. And these lessons are based on a very important textbook. It's a textbook by the foremost conducting teacher in the United States, one of them at least, the Modern Conductor by Elizabeth H. Green. And it was published in several different editions. It's no longer available, but the information in it is invaluable, and many conducting pedagogues rely upon this textbook for sure as a great resource and way of studying. So this lesson in particular is related to chapter 4 from the 6th edition. And this is all about beat patterns. And the last lesson, I mentioned to you that everything has a downbeat and an upbeat. You can basically do anything in any kind of like gesture. And I've seen some very great conductors conduct almost without any kind of conveyance of a pattern, even though it was a very common pattern, probably in 4/4 or whatever. And they're able to do so, but yet still keep things together by showing the downbeat. I'm not suggesting that you do that, especially as an educator for younger students. I don't think that's necessarily the best way, but it's an important concept of understanding the importance of that. So today we are going to look at all the different patterns that are involved in chapter 4, and particularly the 2 pattern, 1 pattern, 6 pattern, and 5 pattern. And we'll just start from there. So let's first of all start with the 2 pattern. This is a little bit of a repeat from last time because the 2 pattern is a backward J. So downbeat, upbeat. And we're using 60 to the beat. So set your metronome to 60 as I have here. You do not need to record more than 4 bars of each of those different patterns and then stop. If you feel like you need more practice at it, feel free to go for it. But I'm mostly just looking for those 4 bars. And as far as using a baton, let's for now say that you don't use a baton. I think that it will be a better situation. Okay, so let's start with the 2 pattern. Here we are. So it's a downbeat and upbeat. It's very often described as a backward J. And you'll also notice that my wrist is being led by my upper arm. So this is all kind of like very much connected. Think of like in piano, when you play piano, if you're a pianist or a string player with the bow, and how everything is always very much connected that way physically, or percussionist with the stick. This is the same thing with conducting. So really keeping it all together. So let's begin. 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2. And you will notice that I am conducting right in the middle of my torso. So of course, as music suggests, if I need to get very big and show much more of a grandiose gesture or a smaller gesture, that would happen. But we're looking just for mezzo forte, forte size conducting, very general conducting for now. Okay, the 1 pattern. Well, 1 should seem like the easiest thing because all it is a downbeat, right? 1, 1, 1, 1. But the more that you conduct and the more that you study music, you'll realize that the subdivisions of the beat are so crucial. So if I'm conducting 1 and I have like 8th notes, like jump, pum, 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 and I'm conducting just kind of randomly 1s, it doesn't work. So you really have to keep track as a conductor for your ensemble, that subdivision. The same thing for 3. If I have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Also notice I come out as a slight circle when I'm conducting a subdivision of 3 and 1. So This, we'll just keep it more simple. 1, 1, 1, 1. And again, 4 bars should suffice, 8 bars. Here we are. 1, ready, go. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. What am I doing with my left hand? I keep it here. Keeping it here is fine, but it's a good practice to keep your hand somewhere, your left hand somewhere available so that you're able to give those gestures as needed when the left hand is used. Okay, so the 6 pattern. The 6 pattern begins always moving towards the left. 1, 2, 3. And then the biggest move is from 3 to 4, coming across the body. 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then even out further, 5, and then back to the upbeat. You see the upbeat and the downbeat always coinciding with each other, always correlating from pattern to pattern. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So it's very much a divided pattern, so that the left side of my body is the first part of the measure. The right side of my body is the second part of the measure. And you'll hear different kind of conceptions about this, and do look at the Elizabeth Green book for the diagrams, or any textbook will have the diagram of sort of the Christmas tree, 4, 5, 6, or whatever. But just very simple, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Okay. All right, let's do a selection of those 6 patterns for you. Here we go. 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. I'm giving more emphasis on my playing to the downbeat. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. And finally, the 5 pattern. The 5 pattern is a modified 6 pattern. That's why we start with a 6 and go backwards. But because it's an asymmetrical pattern, we need to consider that. Where are the first 2 beats or first 3 beats going to land? And based on the music, what we're looking at, and what the composer wants, and it can be ambiguous as well. We want to figure that out. So like in Tchaikovsky's second movement of the 6th Symphony, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're conducting at a slower tempo, of course. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hippopotamus. The alternative is 2 plus 3. So you think of it that way. Is it 3 plus 2? Yeah. We'll start with that. Or is it 2 plus 3? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ba-da-da, dum, bum, 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 bum. Very slow Mars here. 3. But there are moments in there where it does slow down like that. Let's do 2. Let's do both choices for the 5. So we'll do 4 bars of 3 plus 2, and then 4 bars of 2 plus 3. Here we go. So 3 plus 2 first. 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and now 2 plus 3. 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2. The next thing that Elizabeth Green gets into in chapter 4 is the subdivision of beats. So subdivision is a very important aspect of what we do as conductors. And sometimes it can be a little bit confusing, especially for the younger conductor. With the subdivision, just to make clear for your instructions, really it only applies to the 3 pattern and the 4 pattern for what we're doing. You could, of course, do it for the 5 pattern as well, and the 6 pattern, but I'm going to stay away from that. I actually find that super confusing because we're going to use the 6 pattern, not the 6 pattern, but a subdivision of 6 to for the 3-4 subdivision. So it makes no sense here. What you really need is subdivision of 3 and subdivision of 4. And this goes all the way back to the Middle Ages. I don't know why I remember this, but I think it's from teaching music history for too many years. Franco of Cologne had a concept of time, that anything could be divided by 2 or by 3, but no other ways. Everything else was just was exponential. It was a multiplication of what was already going on. So, but simplified really simply, it was any beat can be divided by 2 or to be divided by 3. And if you think about it, it's true. It works. Ars Miserabilis, I think, is the name of the treatise that he wrote. That will not be on anybody's exam for me. So when it comes to the 3 pattern, so if we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If we're going to divide it into 2 beats per, do the subdivision of two beats for each beat, it's helpful. And I learned this actually from the Elizabeth Green textbook when I reviewed it many years ago. I wasn't trained as a conductor with Elizabeth Green's text, and it was a revelation to me. Just showing the same pattern each time, each beat, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. So I'm basically just showing each beat. I'm not getting anything fancy. If you can do that, that's for sure, you know. But you might find it just as simple to show the 3rd beat as 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. I also do think that if you're going along, you're conducting the larger beats, and you're going to show the subdivision 3, 1, and I sometimes will do that where I'm using the left hand before I conduct with the right hand. Does that make sense? So that it's very clear without telling a group, especially an educated group as you are, what my subdivision is going to be and how that's going to be. So let's say that we're going to keep the value of the larger beat the same for this, for the 8th note, and the so that 8th note will be actually 120. 1 and 2 and 3 and, or something like that. Let's get the metronome started here. Okay. 1 and 2 and 3 and. On second thought, let's just keep the pulse at 60, just to keep it simple. Okay, so here we go. 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and all of the ands all of those second, eighth notes, or however you want to, the offbeats, they should be less pronounced than the larger beats. So I should be able to see, especially with my upper arm, that I'm conducting the larger gesture. 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So here we are, we have 9/8. Or subdivision of 3 with 3 beats to a bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I do use the Christmas tree here. 7, a little higher, 8, and even higher for the star on top of the tree, 9, and back down. Again, 7, 8, 9. It crisscrosses. Make sure that you look at the diagram. And Elizabeth Green is not alone. You can check Donald Hansberger's book, or any Max Rudolph wrote a fantastic textbook from the 1960s. Any of those great textbooks will show you the very same thing. 1, 2, 3. So I'm coming a little bit to the left. 3, 4, 5 to the right, and then 7, Christmas tree. Try that again. 1, 2, 3 to my left. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So might seem a little obscure, but I actually use it quite a bit. I find myself using it quite a bit in slow movements of symphonies or concertos that I'm accompanying. It happens so often in traditional common era music. All right, I get the metronome started so we can get that practice together. Here we are. 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2. And you should be able to see that larger, very slow pattern happening with the upper arm. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then one more bar, I think. 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So we'll apply the same thing to the 4/4 pattern. The 4 pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, of course. But we can also do 1 and 2. We're just re-articulating each of those parts of the pattern. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And if I were to subdivide again, like I said, if I were a little faster tempo and I was going to slow down a lot and I need that subdivision, if I'm here 1, 2, 3, 4, I'd use my left hand. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, and you find that in a lot of like the French Impressionists, particularly early 20th century music, those composers, a lot of that kind of thing, rhythmic vagueness, and it's very hard to keep with the orchestra. So anything that you can do to keep as much of the group together, that's the goal of conducting. So here we are. Let's subdivide bar 4. 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You might notice I don't give a cutoff or anything like that. I'm staying away from that for now. So this is imaginary music. So finally, the last part of this mini layered assignment for you is subdivision of 4 with 3. So a 12/8 pattern, basically. So that's the same concept as the 9/8, where you're conducting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and Christmas tree comes back 11, 12. So one more time, 1, 2, the downbeat lower, and then up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And you'll notice if I'm moving in slow motion, and if we use the pool, for example, if we were conducting the pool, you could feel that kind of like resistance and how your arm should be floating really and leading the rest of the hand, or leading the rest of your arm, forearm, through the elbow up into the hand and the fingers. All right, so here is 12/8. 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Two, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And one more measure for the road. Okay, in the words of Chef Cousteau from Ratatouille, anyone can conduct. So I believe in you. I know you'll be able to do this.